Hey, everybody. Sorry, I'm just cleaning some peanuts out of my mouth. It's a great way to start a video. What did I want to talk about? I wanted to talk about how anger and emotions made me retarded and gay. Now, when I use the word retarded or gay, I mean, I'm not making fun of people with physical disabilities or people's sexual orientations, please. Retarded is just like a word for, like, it's like a slang word for stupid. I mean, the way that I grew up and learned the word. And same with gay. Gay, for me, the way I learned it growing up, is just like a slang word for, like, just when something's kind of like silly and backwards. And also, there's even the original meaning of the word gay, which is like being like really like happy, like over, like too like jubilant and overjoyed. So that kind of applies a little bit in the way that I'm using the word now. But yeah, it's interesting because for so many years, I thought it was so normal to be emotional and angry. I didn't even see how pretty much every single emotion that I ever felt was in some way some form of anger, some form of like spitefulness. Even all the positive emotions, I mean, there's so many different kinds of emotions and different names and words for all the emotions you can experience. And all of that was just really different colors, or we could say shades of the same basic thing, which is a point of anger and spitefulness. But that the anger and the spitefulness that we kind of hold within ourselves, it's like accumulated over the years through childhood traumas and things, and the example that is set before us by our mothers and our fathers. And you end up adopting that anger and those emotions. Essentially, you start to believe that they're normal, that it's normal to live within those emotions and expressions, and you eventually, it's like you become that, and next thing you know, you're just like constantly suppressing the fact that anger and spitefulness is what really exists within you. You're suppressing it by usually most of the time living it out expressed as positive emotions, which is basically the other side of the coin, same coin, different side. And it's like we get so good at it. It's like I just got so good at living in the positive. It's like everywhere I went, everyone I would interact with, for the most part, I mean, sometimes I could be negative and whatever, but a lot of the time it was like I was always trying to upkeep this positive energy, and it made me like a woman. It made me like gay, because how so many women have that, like, before, it's like this unspoken rule that, like, before any interaction is possible, it's like they first need to know that, like, you're cool, that, like, everything's good, and that, like, people, like, the person you're interacting with, like, likes you, and everything is all cheery and hunky-dory, and everything's positive. That's why when we meet people, we say things like good day, and stuff like that. It's like everything has to start with some form of like positive energy and like cheeriness and general, yeah, just that energy. And so that was like the way that I would interact with everybody for most things. And it just became like a default character trait, personality, you know. We tend to refer to it as like being nice, you know, or we'll adopt that as like a self-definition, like I'm a nice person, I'm a nice guy, nice girl, whatever. And it makes you retarded and gay. It's like you turn your brain off when you're living in that constant energy. And what sparked this video earlier is it's almost like I had this notion that I wanted to like apologize to every single person that I've ever known for having lived this way, you know, because it's like, yeah, it was foolish, it was silly, it was retarded and gay. But, you know, I don't really have anything to apologize for. It's not like it's personal. And it's not like every other human being doesn't operate in this same kind of energy to some degree or another. Like, even if it's very little for some people, it's like virtually all human beings exist in this kind of energy. So rather than like an apology, it's like this is more of just like an admission, confession, self-reflection, you know. Yeah, just reflecting on how I've existed for so long. And it's not like I don't still exist that way to some degree, but, you know, because old habits die hard. Or not that they die hard, but it's like it takes time, obviously, to just get out of that, of all the habits and of that and everything that goes along with it, you know. And if you look at how we tend to exist that way, it's like it takes a lot of upkeep and maintenance. That's what so many people are really doing when they're, for instance, like feeding their addictions. You know, if you look at your addictions, they're all energetic in nature. You know, whether you're addicted to drinking or smoking pot or having sex or whatever, it can be anything. I mean, I'm using very like obvious addictions there, but it can really be anything that gives you like a rush of positive energy, that gives you some kind of energetic high. And so we've got all, you know, and we make up all kinds of words and things to describe those behaviors and addictions, you know, like you know, addict. Oh, I'm an addict. But I don't know. It's like I don't even necessarily believe in those words anymore. Because I see past the surface of those behaviors, the superficiality of those behaviors, and I can look past it all and just see that at a person's core, they're just angry. They just have spitefulness that comes from their traumas and and the anger of what they've accepted and allowed themselves to become, to live out this anger. So I don't know. I would recommend to most people, like, don't judge yourself for whatever addictions and habits you form. Like, you're not an addict. You're angry, you know, and what's really happening is you're just feeding that anger with all of your habits and addictions and patterns, you know. So when you look at it that way, like, again, it can be a lot of different activities, behaviors, and things that we participate in. So this is why I recommend forgiveness, forgiving your mother for teaching you to be angry and emotional, as well as your father for not protecting you effectively, because he also was angry and emotional, like his mother and father. And within that, you're forgiving yourself for having become exactly like them, because of course you end up becoming like the thing you hate. Yeah, so that's about it. Thanks. Bye.